In this video, I'm talking to Chris Rawlings from Sophie Society about how Amazon sellers could use brand story modules in the best way to tell their brand story and connect with the buyers. Chris will explain how to use the brand story feature that will help you to stand out from your competition and demonstrates step by step how to use the modules so that you as a seller could follow his advice and upload a brand story too. To learn more about Sophie Society and their services, head to the description of this video and click on the links. Enjoy this conversation, and if you like this content, then definitely give a like to this video and also subscribe to Orange Click YouTube channel. Hi Chris, I'm happy to have you here on Orange Click channel today to talk about brand story. So before we go to your slides, I know you have some. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do and also what Sophie Society does?
Yep. Glad to be back on the channel as always. One of my favorite channels on the internet, and one of my favorite hosts as well, Lisette. Good chilling with you. My name is Chris Rawlings. I'm a seven-figure brand owner, selling on Amazon since 2015. I've owned, partially owned, or partnered with hundreds of brands since the start, and I now run Sophie Society, which focuses on increasing the conversions and the traffic to Amazon listings using the most cutting edge tactics and a data-oriented focus. So with that said, I'm going to be using some of that data and some of those experiments that we've made in the marketplace, specifically all about the brand story section of the listing today with you.
Perfect. Sounds really good. I think we haven't covered brand story section with you before. I think there are some updates being as well. So I know you have slides, so let's go ahead and see your presentation.
Right on. All right. Yeah, let's rock into it. All right. So this is the Amazon brand story section, step-by-step setup plus some ninja tactics that you guys might not know. I'm going to, in my typical way, lay out a very simple and straightforward formula that you guys can use for your brand story section. Now let's jump into what it is and why it matters before we get into the actually how to do it nitty gritties. But I promise you guys, I'm going to show you some really cool stuff with a bunch of examples. So the brand story section is the section of your listing that makes you human. It, together with the A+ content, enhanced brand content, which is now called enhanced product description, which I don't like EPD as much as EBC. EPD sounds like some weird device you use to bring someone back to life once they die. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm not going to use that the acronym. But together, these two sections essentially are the chance for you to show a true character for your brand. The rest of the listing is all about the product. These sections are about the brand and the product, but even more the brand. And this brand story section is really specifically tailored just about the brand. The amazing part about this is that it sets you apart from the sellers on Amazon whose only differentiator is price. And especially in America, which is the biggest Amazon market, Amazon.com, there has been in the past 2 to 3 years a huge stigma arising with normal, everyday, middle-class Americans that Amazon is full of cheap Chinese crap. And it's a stigma, and it's not true because there are a lot of really quality products on Amazon. But a lot of Americans are very sensitive to it now because all of these articles have come out and all of these major publications about Chinese hijackers and specifically Chinese, but it's just in general, sellers on Amazon gaming the review system, selling fake goods or really low quality goods. So the shopper has now started to gain a keen eye to point this out and point out the sellers that are literally just selling straight out of a factory somewhere with no real face, no real connection, no story, no humans behind it. So with that said, all of those rising tides and the society's changing perception of what Amazon is, this is a super powerful way for you to rise above that and prove that you're not just some cheap knockoff and not just some brand that's slapping some sticker on a product and shipping it out of some, factory connected to Alibaba. You are a real brand with a real character, real face that stands behind their products, that's real human beings just like them. And it allows you to utilize this super powerful form of human communication, which is storytelling. Storytelling is the way humans have passed down knowledge from generations since we were living in caves, sitting around fires, talking to each other. So, this format that it invites you to use, which is storytelling, is extremely powerful. So, all of these factors together make this section actually a really important change on Amazon, and most brands are actually still not utilizing this. If you search a keyword on Amazon, you're going to find that a lot of the listing search results, you're not going to see the brand story section because brands just don't know how to utilize it. There's too many options. They don't know how to format it. And that's what I'm going to walk through with you guys today. So the basics first. Here's how you set it up. It's under your advertising submenu in Seller Central. You go to the A Plus Content Manager and you'll see the brand story section there. The basic modules that are available to you are brand ASIN and store showcase, the brand focus image, the brand logo and description. But really, you can choose whatever you want because just like the rest of the A Plus content in the enhanced brand content section, you can upload an image that has anything in it. It's not like Facebook where you can only have so much text in an image. You can do text of different fonts. You can do whatever you want in the image, and you don't really have to worry about the text that's associated with the image for the image overlay or for the brand story text in the card because the indexing is not important here. This is all about just conversion, communicating quality to the shopper themselves. So this is where A Plus content shows up on mobile. You can see in this GIF here that when you scroll down the listing, you see the product image gallery, and then right after that is the brand story section. So it shows up even before the standard A Plus content enhanced product description section, which is interesting. On desktop, however, it shows up usually after the enhanced product description normal A Plus content section. So it flips. You can see that in this little GIF here, it shows up first with no cards showing, and then you have to scroll to the left in order to view the cards. So we'll get into what cards are and how to form them in a bit. And in a bit means right now. I forgot that this slide was next. So the brand story section is arranged by cards. This is really similar to carousels on other platforms. Like Facebook has carousels on their ads. Instagram even has, side scrolling pictures for posts that have more than one image. It's very similar to that. So shoppers are already used to using this movement, this gesture with their thumb of swiping to the left. So it's very natural to them. We're going to get into a couple hacks down the line of how to optimize this format for shoppers today. But we're going to focus the rest of the time on how to format these cards and what type of cards are available to you. So before we even go any further, one thing that I have to mention is that when you're forming your brand story section, you want to form it from the mindset of mobile first. You're not going to be formatting this in a way where you're designing it on desktop, testing it on desktop, checking out what it looks like and how it feels on desktop, and then, making sure that it still works on mobile. It's completely the opposite. 3/4 of all of the traffic to your listing is coming from mobile, not desktop. So 75% of the viewers and rising every year are going to be viewing on mobile. I don't know about you, Lisette, but I almost never go to Amazon on my desktop. I just order things on my Amazon app on my phone. So it's becoming like Facebook, where you're not going to really use the desktop version unless you have to. So design, especially the brand story content, because it's specifically optimized for mobile with the side scrolling carousel functionality that it has. You're designing for mobile first. So here's what it looks like on desktop. You can see on desktop, it shows 2.5 cards plus this background image. Now you can't really tell in this shot because they've done a really good job in this brand that the background image actually looks like a card, and that's one of the hacks we're going to share how to do this later. But that background image actually stays there while you're scrolling through these cards, whether you're scrolling on desktop or mobile. And you can see here with the shot that I'm showing of the desktop, the way you scroll is by clicking those arrows that show up on the right and left-hand sides of the screen, which is a little bit less intuitive for most desktop users. Most people are used to scrolling down a website, not really scrolling over on a website. It's not very common. So our hypothesis is that a lot of shoppers are really not going to use the side scrolling functionality on desktop. It's really going to be used mostly on mobile, where that gesture is native. Here we go on mobile. This is what the exact same listing looks like on mobile. So you can see from the first card, you're scrolling over each card. You can see one card in like a little piece of the next card. And that's how you know that the next one is there and what it is. So just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like, you can see this background image is there the whole time. It's never moving. It's just the cards that move. So you have to separately upload a background image and the card content. So here we go, getting into the formula itself. This is what we call the SOFI 7. The SOFI 7 types of brand story cards. There's the company story card, the founder highlight card, the product showcase / storefront card, the individual value card. This means company value card, quote plus powerful visual card, the customer testimonial and case study card, and the design-centered imagery card. You don't have to use all of these. You can use all of them, and you can also use them more than once. You can have one type of card that's really the best for you guys, and you use 4, 5, 6, or 7 of them of the same type. Depends on where your strengths lie with your brand. But what I'm going to do now is take you guys through examples of each one of these. And for some of them, I'm going to show you multiple examples. And then you, as you're watching this, should be noting down somewhere, either in your notes app or on a pad on your desk, what you think applies to you. So I want you guys to be thinking of ideas while we're walking through these, like, oh, I could use this with my brand by doing this or that. And start ideating how you'll form your cards. So starting with the founder highlight card. This founder highlight card is the story of the founder of the brand, and it's most powerful when you have a picture of the founder, a picture specifically with the face in it. You can have face and body, but the most important thing is the face. This communicates the values and or mission of the founder and or company, and it makes the company so human. Like, it really gives it a personal touch and makes it feel like there's somebody standing behind these products, and it's not just some faceless, nameless, polluting factory across the ocean somewhere. So it's a very, very powerful type of card, and it's specifically excellent in this format of showing it in the brand story section. Here's another example. You can see how striking this is. Wouldn't this make you stop? Now, this founder is an attractive young woman, so that's very helpful. But it doesn't have to be. It's just the fact of having a human face. You don't have to be a young, 30-something or 20-something hot chick in order for this to work for you. And I really encourage founders that have been more shy to attach their name to their brands to really get out there and just commit to it. It's can't hurt you. It can only help you. So this is a super, super powerful type of card, and it's one of the most powerful, most effective ways to establish trust between yourself and the shopper before they've ever bought any of your products or experienced any of your products in person. The next type of card is the company story card. So this is all about the company's story, disconnected from the founder. Now, these two different types of card, the founder story card and the company story card, they can be mixed and matched, and you can fuse them into one. It's fine. But you don't have to. You can do this completely separately. This example, as an example, is a separate card in the brand story module of this previous example that I showed you of the founder. So they have the founder, and then they have the brand story. So you can separate them out. You can combine them. It's up to you. This should either show some powerful story about the founding of the company and the reason it was founded, or a very strong mission statement or statement of values of the company. But it's all about the character of the company, what the company stands for, where the company came from. It succinctly highlights in a textual format and ideally visual as well where the company came from. Next, you've got the product showcase / storefront card. This is an awesome card. And the way to think about this, if you've already watched my A+ content video with Lisette and OrangeClick, or you know about the A+ content formula, is this is similar to the product carousel in the A+ content module. So these are kind of like mini listings. So it's interesting, like it's not very intuitive up front that this is true, but these are actually each tappable or clickable. So each one of these different products, if you tap them or click them, will bring you to that listing. So this is actually 5 links in one card. It's the link to the storefront on the bottom that you can see. It says Rive Bestsellers. You can go right to the storefront, and you can click or tap each one of these primary images, and it'll bring you to that listing. So it's super powerful for cross-selling, especially if you have excellent imagery. One way to utilize this card is you can have multiple cards like this that organize your products by line. So it can be like the top 4 products in each line. Okay, these are our anti-inflammatories. These are our mineral line. This is our vitamins for men. And it just shows the top 4 in each one. It's a super powerful way to use these. Here's another example. You can see 4 different products here. Each one of these is clickable. Very powerful type of card. I definitely, like I said, you can pick and choose and mix and match and opt out, opt in for all these card types. But if you have more than one product, this is already, it'd be silly not to use this. It's an excellent way to cross sell. The next type of card we call the individual value card. So this is a card that represents a specific value that your company has. You can see this card I pulled from a tea company who has the value of sustainability. And they show a short story in here about the value, saying that they have a solar powered tea factory, and they, low key show that they're manufacturing in the US. So it's, a low key sell there, we're super high quality, and they're trying to get to carbon neutrality with net zero carbon emissions, which is a super lofty goal and very cool for people who care about the environment, which they obviously know that their ideal customer demographic does. So this is a super powerful way to communicate that with a card that is dedicated to a specific value. And this is powerful, strong, in your face. And it's similar to, like I've mentioned earlier in this presentation, Instagram culture, where you can have a whole image that's dedicated to a concept or a word. That's one bold message, that's 1 or 2 words, and then some kind of description with the rest of the text on the image. And again, this is an excellent way to set yourself apart from companies whose only value is to sell more junk, which is like, the factory direct sellers on Amazon that compete on price, sell as much junk as they can. They don't have values. Their value is money, and that's it. So if you have a strong brand character, brand identity, this is an excellent way to communicate it. Here's another card, from the same seller. The last one is sustainability. This one's quality. This is one that any of you guys should be able to have this card as one of your values. And even though it might sound cliche, like I said, especially American shoppers are getting more and more wary of bad quality products on Amazon and cheap knockoffs on Amazon. So communicating that quality in every way possible is super powerful. Here's how, this is a element of this that I didn't mention before. You can tile this. So again, thinking back to how Instagram works, because Amazon's trying to turn into Instagram essentially a content platform. You can tile these, and you can see the way this brand did it. They have that value card that's all text with a little icon, and then they have their product showcase. Then they have the next value card. Then they have their next product showcase. So it's a very visually appealing way and a very organized way to tile your brand story section. Here's another example of a value card: looking after our world. Just a few words, very, very bold, very in your face. And then they have the little description in there, not as the text overlay, but as the text in the image. We can only have one world. That's why we do everything we can to help being sustainable packaging and reusable tea bags. So it's again showing that this brand, and this is a totally separate brand, that this brand cares for the environment. All right. Next, we have quote plus powerful visual card. This is separate from the other types of cards that we've mentioned because it's all about the visual. And most of the time, this means a human face, and most of the time, it's a human face of your ideal customer demographic. So whoever your avatar is that is most likely going to buy your product, whether it's young moms, grandpas, millennial kids, whatever it is. Millennials aren't kids, Gen Zs. Um, this is the chance to show them off. And it doesn't have to be from your product photo shoot. You can get a stock image that's just extremely striking, and then you put your text over it. You can see this one is trying to communicate that they support patients through cancer treatment. And it's showing this very cute woman with a head wrap because she lost her hair. It's a very striking, very visual, very like emotion provoking visual with a matching short and succinct quote or piece of text that describes it. And this is a really, really powerful way to use these cards. Again, you want to think of these cards as people are swiping through them real fast, just like they do on Instagram. This is really similar to Pinterest or Instagram or Tumblr or something like that. You're swiping fast. So you need something that stops them, whether it's one big bold word or a big bold visual. It's got to stop them in their tracks and be really striking, which you can see that this image is extremely striking, and this woman's face is very striking face. All right, this type of card, this isn't in the list of our recommended cards, but I had to cover this because this used to be required, that you had to answer these three questions. How did we get our start? What makes our products unique? And why do we love what we do? You can actually tell when a brand uploaded their story section based on whether they had this card or not, because it was required when Amazon first came out with this section. You don't have to do this anymore, and we don't recommend it, but it's not bad. These are actually really good questions that are get at the heart of why the brand exists and who is behind it and what the character of the brand is. So it's not bad to have this card. If you already have it, you don't need to remove it. But if you don't have it, there are other, probably better ways to communicate these things. All right, here's another super powerful type of card, and this is the customer testimonial / case study card. You can see that this card specifically does it with a image of the product, and they say, my dermatologist recommended this brand. This stuff is a miracle. It feels silky, non-greasy. It's not too thick. It absorbs easily. And then they just sign it, Amazon customer. And so they don't have a screenshot of like the 5-star review or anything like that, because that would trigger Amazon's terms of service, but you still can show it as a testimonial. And this is super powerful because it leverages one of the most powerful online sales tools, which is social proof. Obviously, your reviews should be doing this, but let's be honest, it's hard to manage reviews, especially with crazy customers out there that will leave a negative review for no reason, or because their package arrived late or they're just having a bad day or something. So this is a great way to add more social proof alongside your reviews to help pump up the shopper's perception of how the public accepts your products and how they use them. And the last type of card is the design-centered imagery card. So this is a card with absolutely no text at all. It just shows pictures of the product or pictures of the product being used in lifestyle shots with your ideal customer avatar, or just the ideal customer avatar or use case setting itself, even without the product, that somehow showcases the brand's character or identity or the brand's branding. And these cards are really powerful. They give you a place to use any additional shots you have from any photo shoot, But even if you don't have a photo shoot, you can utilize stock imagery for this or merge stock imagery with solo images of your product. And as long as they are design centered and they look really nice, then they can be appropriate for a card. It's really good if your design centered imagery card looks nice. And here's another example of it. This is what I call a florist shot. It looks like somebody lobbed that tea bag in there at 1,000 miles an hour. Bro. I don't think I've ever hit a tea bag in a glass of tea that hard, because that tea is splashing everywhere. So obviously this is photoshopped, but I mean, it's not obvious to the shopper. I mean, it's obvious to us as sellers because nobody could throw a tea bag that hard. But it's a cool florist shot. It allows you to see the color of the tea. It allows you to see the tea like in motion. It doesn't look boring. It looks exciting. It looks dynamic. This is a florist shot, what we would call a flourish or an X factor shot. And these cards are really good for those types of shots where you don't have to showcase a specific feature or a specific benefit. You're really just trying to communicate a feeling that you want associated with your brand or your products. And this is an excellent, excellent way to do that. It shows that your brand is clued in, that you're not socially tone deaf, that you know what looks good, you know what's cool, you know what feels nice, especially to your ideal customer demographic. If you could speak their language, and it looks like the types of things that they would normally look at or be attracted to, then you're definitely on the right track with these. All right, so I prepared this little video just so you guys could see what it's like to scroll across the brand imagery from some of the examples that we looked at, the brand story modules from some of the examples that we looked at. You can see that's what happens. When you get to the last one, it just shows white space after the last one. Now you see when I get to the 4 panel, I click on the product, it goes right to that product's listing. So it doesn't go to the storefront unless I click the storefront link underneath. So I can actually individually click on each product in that card. So it's not the card itself that's a link, it's each product that's a link. So yeah, just to give you guys an example of what that looks like and what good good brand story looks like as well. Now, how many cards do you want? Well, it should be between 6 and 12. That's the right amount of cards to have. You don't, like I said, you don't have to have all 7 types of cards. There might be one that's really good for you. Like you could tell with that brand that I used as an example with the value cards, that they really like those value cards. They were very value oriented and they obviously had a list of customer brand values that they wanted to communicate. That's great for them. That's great. For you guys, maybe you have a lot of product images you want to showcase, or maybe you don't have that, but you have multiple cards you want to use on your brand or your founder story. There's always something that you can do, and you don't want to have less than 6 on this because people expect to be able to scroll over. You can have even more than 12. I'm not even sure what the limit is or if there even is one. We haven't hit it yet. So if it is, it's really high. So you can have as many as you want. And if you're the type of brand that people really want to dig into, especially higher price goods, luxury goods, things that go on or in your body, things that people feel a deep pain or a deep passion about, it's worth it for you to put in all 12 or more cards because people tend to spend more time on things that are more sensitive like that or speak to a specific pain or passion. So that's our recommendation. Here's a couple hot tips. So add a swipe prompt. And so the swipe prompt, I challenge you guys to see if you see what I'm talking about in this screenshot here. This is it right here. It's showing swipe left. And this one is not super clear. I don't know if I would get this right away if I wasn't in the industry. Obviously, I knew what they were talking about because I understand that you have to swipe to see the brand story cards. But your normal everyday shopper, especially in the older demographics, might not get this. So another way to show that is literally spell it out to them. So you can see this brand literally just says swipe left to view more. So they have their background image, which has most of the rich imagery all the way on the left-hand side where the first card would be if it started with the first card. And once you swipe to the first card, which is exactly right, And then at the bottom, it says swipe left to view more. And that's a really good swipe prompt. Just another hot tip. Just avoid using Amazon's own text overlay altogether. I mean, compare this image to the other images that we've seen during this presentation. It's just not, it doesn't look good. It looks cheesy. It looks kind of fake. It looks like someone from a factory could have typed it in. And I don't recommend it. It's not design oriented and it's boring. So I would not use it. It's ugly. It's not recommended. Just stay away from it altogether and design in the text that you want designed in. These days, even if you're on a budget, you can't afford a designer, which, by the way, designers are very cheap. You can just use Canva. Canva is an excellent way to create images like this. And for those of you that don't know, Canva is a free to start online design tool that allows you to really easily and quickly make all kinds of banners, graphics, flyers, and images of this nature. And you can make up all of your brand story modules just in Canva alone, and they would look good. So stay away from this overlay. Here's another hot tip. You can actually make your background your first card. That's a cool thing. Since it shows before the cards, and I still don't really get why Amazon did this, but you can show an image that looks just like your card. So this is not a card. Looks like a card, right? It's actually not. It just looks like the card so that they know that these are cards. And in all honesty, in my opinion, this would make more sense if it would just started with a card and you saw half of the next one, because that's normally how carousels work, and mobile users are used to that. So this is a hot little tip for you guys. That's a great way to utilize that empty background space. And that is it, my friends. So I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. If you want to contact me about any of this, you could take out your phone now, open up the camera, just point it at this QR code. You can message me straight there on Instagram. That's my personal Instagram. Or you can message hello@sophiesociety.com if you want to get in contact with me about Sophie Society in particular, and you want to talk about us doing this for you, or otherwise increasing your conversion or managing the traffic to your listings for you at any time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. One of my questions would be what to do, what don't do. So you basically covered all the main things sellers have to keep in mind when they use these brand story modules. So thanks again for bringing all of these examples, because they are really helpful to understand how it works. Because I think Amazon sometimes, I don't know if it's for brand story, but I know for A+ content, they do have some best practices examples provided somewhere in the Seller Central as well. But oftentimes they are not very thought through, and you always have this strategy behind it, like how to use, what to use. So I think it's super helpful for our viewers.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, I hope people find this valuable, and it is overwhelming. You know, it's like, it's difficult to know where to start, and having some kind of framework, it's just like music, you know, you learn the rules and then you could break them. You know, for you guys, this is going to add a whole lot of value to you. You don't have to overthink it. Just use this formula, 7 different card types, choose the ones that work best for you, and just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't try to bend the rules or break them anymore. You're already ahead of 99.9% of sellers just by implementing this alone.
Awesome. Thanks again. And I really hope to see you soon again to talk about all things that help sellers to make more money and get better conversions.
Hell yeah. Can't wait.
I hope you enjoyed this video and learned what is the best approach to use the Amazon Brand Story feature to tell your brand story in a memorable way. From the video description, you will find information and contact details about Sophie Society, so you could check out their website and also use their services to create either brand story information or A+ content. And now I would like to invite you to watch another video I recorded with Chris, where he explains how you can create an Amazon FBA product infographics that work and help to increase conversion rates.